Well, hello everyone and welcome. It is Tuesday and time for the Writers Corner live show. Welcome. On the Writers Corner live show, we connect authors to each other and we help readers find new authors to love. You will meet seasoned as well as aspiring authors who will share their tips and tricks of how to get published right the first time. So we invite you to get the backstory of our featured author this week is Peter Giblett. We'll be back in a sec. Don't go anywhere. Hello again, everyone, and you've just joined the show. I am your host, Brigetti Limbanda. I am a global goodwill ambassador and a live streaming advocate who loves to help brands, entrepreneurs, and authors tell their stories and have a great online experience. My co host is Mary Elizabeth Jackson. She's the award winning author of the children's Poolicious book series. She's working on another book, and there's some more news about that to come, as well as she's also working on a movie screenplay. Mary is a wife and a mom of three children who inspire her, not expire her, inspire her. She's also a disability advocate and she lives in Nashville in the USA. And of course, I am in Cape Town in South Africa. So do let us know if you're joining us live or watching on the replay, type replay. But do let us know where in the world you are watching the show from. Mary will be joining us just a tad later. So today, my guest is Peter Giblett. Peter spent 30 years managing IT projects and then was let go from his ideal role in 2008. That turned into a brand new opportunity and direction for him because he built a career as an online writer. And so over the last 10 years, Peter's been helping organizations build their web content and social media presence. And for the last 5 years, Peter has also been blogging about blogging and has got an ebook called How to Create a Winning Headline. He also published a book called Is Your Business Ready for the Social Media Revolution back in 2010. And he says he considers himself to be a business focused writer. Peter originally is from the UK and he's got an LLB honors and a postgraduate diploma in law. He now lives in Niagara Falls in Canada. So, without any further ado, let's invite Peter onto the show.
Hello there.
Hello, Peter, and welcome to the Writers Corner live show. Now, this is something kind of special for me because we're broadcasting on LinkedIn as well.
Yep.
And you and I have known each other for, I forgot how many years it is. We
Pro-
go back many years.
Probably 10 years.
Yes, at least 10 years on LinkedIn, which which is amazing. And this is kind of the first time we're meeting like this face to face.
Yep.
Um, which is awesome and a reason why I'm so excited about LinkedIn Live in particular, because people that you've known for many years, like you and we've just known each other on text messages via LinkedIn, and now to kind of take that relationship
Yep.
just a level further and be able to have this face-to-face conversation is amazing.
Yeah. Social media is such a wonderful thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So since the days that we knew each other, you've kind of taken a completely different direction. Are you completely out of IT now?
Well, I'd love to get back into it. I have a couple of friends who I'm constantly advising about IT. One person who I'm actually on his board and an advisor. I've given him numerous bits of advice. All I just said is, look, when you're successful, give me 1%. And that was kind of a way that I can give him some advice, free advice, but not free advice.
So Peter, just backtrack a little bit. Just tell us what your background is in IT.
I used to be head of development for a company here in Burlington, Ontario. And so I used to be in control of the IT development side of the business. So I managed probably a dozen or more projects relating to various aspects of technology which we were implementing. The trouble is that the company went from implementing a ton of new systems to not really having the money in the recession put paid to my job, unfortunately. And it's life. It's hard, but you've just got to get over it.
That is life, unfortunately. And I think, more and more people are seeing a change in career. And I think the best way to tackle it is the way that you did, is to see it as another door opening,
Yep.
another opportunity. And whatever you field you come from, and I'm sure that you can resonate with that, it's never wasted, because your previous career path is always going to intersect with what you're doing in some form or the other. And there's a lot of principles and things that you can apply in what you're doing now.
Oh, absolutely. I think you've always got that whole lifetime of experience that you're using. And, somebody just asked me the other day about a contract matter. Now, okay, I have a law degree and most people don't really think about contracts, but given all of my IT background, I did a lot of work with contracts. Always, you'd get contracts, you'd be signing contracts, you'd be looking at contracts and having to figure out the best thing on contracts. And yes, okay, you've got to put them through the company lawyer 9 times out of 10, but very often I'd spot the issues before the company lawyer did. So I'd be well versed on what was needed, what we needed to change.
That's quite a leg up, because a lot of people tend to skip over the fine print when it comes to contracts, and usually the only time people pay attention to contracts, it's
Is when
of
it goes
course
wrong.
when it goes wrong, when there's a breach in contracts. I should have read the contract, or
Yep.
I should have paid a bit more attention. It's always a hindsight kind of thing. So again, if you're joining us with the show, tell us where in the world you're watching us from. I'd love to know in the comments. And if you've got any questions for Peter, please let us know as well. So Peter, how did you get into blogging about blogging? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, that's an oddity. I use the term meta blogging, but because if you know what meta means, it's information about itself. So data about data is metadata, for example. But most people misuse the term metadata. So I don't use the term meta blogging. So I blog about blogging. So the point being is, what happened to me when I left that nice high paying corporate job is I found myself scratching around looking for other things to do. And one of many things that I did was help other people sort their websites, deal with content on their websites. I've always been a strong advocate of using good English. I'd like to say other languages, but I don't speak other languages. I'm limited to the one I know, not the five my wife knows. She's very good with language. She knows plenty of other languages, but I'm limited to the one I know. So I try and do the best I can with it. So the point about that is that I then have strengthened my English over the last 10 years, tried to do more, became, taken on a role of being an editor to edit people's websites, make sure the content is good and correct, and then advise them on, some of the technical side, things like SEO and other things like that.
Peter, why would you say it's so important? Because I see this all the time. I was involved in a project recently where, I came across their website and the English was really, 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 really bad.
Yeah.
Why would you say is it important that we cross the T's and dot the I's on our website?
Well, if you think about this, that a lot of people do put a lot of effort into things like television advertising, and they get that right. They get the language just right. Although, there's there's some dodgy language even in TV advertising. And we often put a lot of effort into print, but when it comes down to websites, there's a lot of people who just throw it together. And that's problematic because they did it on the Friday afternoon, and I'm looking at it their time about 2 a.m. on a Sunday and scratching my head thinking that does not make any sense. What are they talking about? And yes, it's not because there's differences in language. For example, an Indian person will speak English in a slightly different way than a Chinese person will, and they will both speak it in a slightly different way than somebody who's born in England or Canada or the United States or even South Africa for that matter. So there's slight differences in accent all around the globe, but it's not just those differences in accent. It's about things that really are bad language, just don't help anybody understand what is being said.
I know, because if you have to look at a website and you have to read and reread a sentence a few times to try and figure out what they're saying, it's going to make me turn away and just think, well, these guys don't even, if they can't articulate what it is that they're trying to convey. And your website is kind of the window to the world. And this is what I was trying to say to someone the other day. If you tell someone about a project or your business, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go onto the internet and look for your website.
Absolutely. Of course they are, and that's why it's so important, because that's what we do today, isn't it? We just confirm, we use that, we confirm, we go to Google and we type in the company name, so we're going to, heygoodlooking.com, etc., whatever the site is, and we look it up. In our mind, it's about confirmation that what the person is telling us is right, but also it puts us to another level, because we look at something like an advert and it's 30 seconds, bing, 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 it's done. Whereas when we look at something like a website or a blog, we can read more about the detail, more behind the scenes. We look at the features list, at least I do anyway. If I'm looking for, say, a new camera, I want to know what's the features on it. Is that phone that I've got, is it got all the bits that I need on it? That's what I need to know. And okay, I may be a strange guy, but I don't think so. I think that's what a lot of people do, and that's why I think the website needs to be 100% correct.
And welcome to Mary.
Hi, how are you guys this morning? Sorry I was late.
No problem. Great. I'm glad that you were able to join us. So Peter and I were just talking about the importance of crossing the T's and putting the I on the dot on your website to make sure you don't have any bad English or grammatical errors, because that reflects badly on your organization or your business or your brand.
No, every time you post it does. I mean, it's so awful when you repost and people they're trying to look professional and there's something missing and you go, oh my gosh, why didn't they go back and read that before they posted that? Because, it does make you look less than what you want to look like.
And even something silly like putting something on a Facebook comment, and you write PNE instead of 1.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always, did I do that?
I go and delete. I delete and rewrite it.
Well, the good thing is about that is that at least with Facebook you can edit it. Mm-hmm. So I edit it, I correct it as soon as I spot the error. But unfortunately, sometimes you will get this thing of somebody points out your error and you're well, I can't delete your comment after my comments, so what do I do? You just got to accept that we do make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And I once had somebody talk to me, I was talking to a person, and they were talking about how they were writing and how they never make a mistake.
Wow. Wow.
Is that in their mind, or is that the truth?
Well, I said, do you want to bet?
Yeah.
And in my feeling, it's always in their mind, because you can go through and I would do it. And just to be, I were always the most critical person about myself. I can go back onto something I wrote 5 years ago and think, did I really say that? Did I really mean that? And
Yep.
I'm then embarrassed about it, even though nobody's pointed it out. Nobody's seen the error of my ways, but but and the worst of it is actually when you're talking about how people use bad language, and then you use bad language.
Right. So Peter, one of the things you help people with is getting a headline right. So I'm going to put you a bit on the spot here. Can you give us an example of a badly written headline and a good one?
Good ones are relatively easy to do. I've got one in front of me here. If I just look on my other screen, which is 3,000 dead, 300 million dollars lost, and San Francisco obliterated. And this comes from the Cincinnati Post on the 19th of April, 1906, which was, of course, the day after the famous San Francisco earthquake. So those kind of putting those figures out there in that way really expresses how dramatic that event was. As for have I got examples around of bad ones? I guess that the worst aspect about bad headlines is when you just, and you kind of writing something and you're saying, the first thing that comes into your mind is the first headline that you use. It might be right, but chances are it isn't. For example, the one I've got here right now is white space, using it to empower your blogging. It's an okay headline. It's a working title. It's from the next piece I'm putting out. But I really have to think about a number of things with headlines as to how it's going to be taken. Think of it from the reader's perspective, not just, and also the perspective of things like social media, not just how I'm expressing myself in that article.
So Peter, this one thing that I have, a big bone I've got about headlines often, is that with the advent of social media, everybody wants eyeballs on their content, right?
Yeah.
And so there's always this danger of people either intentionally or unintentionally using a clickbait type of headline. What is the rule? What is your thoughts on that?
Well, they are fine if what you're trying to do is to have people buy products from your website. They have a certain amount of, they have a certain place when you're trying to sell things. But the trouble is, one of the things about clickbait is that it's a very, it's got that amount of lifetime. So when you come back to an article that may be about a topic that you wrote 5 years ago, because it's got a clickbait style headline, the headline is no longer relevant today, although the content of what you wrote may still be relevant. Whoa.
So would you say that it's something that a serious business should avoid? or is it okay to use it from time to time?
From time to time, use it, but I would generally avoid it. There's a lot that, you know, there are some people out there who very much favor clickbait, but you know, well, probably I'd say that 50% of the people I know who are doing blogging are doing it out of fun. Not, you know, clickbait headlines never work for fun type blogging. You know, well, let me correct myself on that. They can work if what you're doing is if you're blogging about the latest star. So Brigitte Limbanda, she's doing whatever with whoever, you know, our famous Writers Corner live star, and what she's doing. Well, yes, I kind of get that. You know, some people are into that market, but there's only a limited space for that type of market, I think.
Good information.
And most blogs are about information. You know, exactly that. They're longer term. Something you wrote 3 years ago is as applicable today.
So, Peter, who's your ideal target market when it comes to your writing and your clients?
My clients are usually are either local people who've already got websites up and running, or they are local people who have been expanding their business and not necessarily gotten into using the web as yet. Maybe they're advertising on Yellow Pages and on the Yellow Pages websites, but not yet really doing anything themselves. Because I think one of the things about the web is that you can do certain amount, you can have an online presence by being on Yellow Pages, but that only takes you so far. Now that's fine if what you are is the local plumber, and that gets you, you know, 10 jobs a month. That's fine. But if you want to do more than that, if you need something else, then you've got to look beyond Yellow Pages. And indeed, there's actually many businesses where Yellow Pages is just the worst place you can even be. You know, so you'll get more out of social media than you will out of Yellow Pages.
So what would you tell somebody who's starting a blog? You know, what is your best advice for anyone out there who wants to start and has not started?
It's a good question. Really, I think that what you've got to do is to spend a little bit of time and think about what it is that you are trying to convey to everybody, what the message is that you're trying to get out. Because blogging is largely about expertise, letting people know what your expertise is. You want to improve your customer base by by demonstrating your expertise. And that was the reason why I started blogging in the first place, because when I was trying to get a new job as an IT manager, I turned around to my job search coach at the time and said to him, "What do you think about me writing a blog?" And he said, "Good idea, because what it will show is your expertise, your your knowledge in the marketplace." The funny thing is about it, it didn't help me get another IT job, an IT management job. And the only reason really why that's the case is not because I wasn't good enough, or because there weren't, etc., or because I came over badly, or because my expertise wasn't being shown. It was just because the market in 2008 was just not there. There was no market. There was 20 people. I knew the 20 people chasing every single job, and we spoke about every job before and after the interviews. And, we just went from job to job, asking each other who was going to be going for this job.
Wow, that was quite hectic.
Yeah. So everybody knew everybody. And when anybody got the job, it was just luck of the draw, we considered it. But the thing about it is that it took me on a new path and really taught me about the need to do good, so writing was going to become part of my future, if you like.
And would you consider going back into IT now after all these years? I mean, it's not that I don't think you ever get out of IT, because it's kind of, it's IT is what it is. It's once you've been in IT, you will always be an IT person.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. You see, it's not that I couldn't do it. It's just that, would I get an employer that would take me on? That's the biggest question I have. And I think with such a long gap, it's like, well, no, I haven't been to prison, but it's like, that scenario, how that scenario comes across. Well, what have you been doing for the last 10 years? You've been in prison, haven't you? No.
Oh,
Well, I think as long as you've got a logical explanation for your absence from that particular career path, then it's okay. And if you've kept your skills alive, I mean, you could obviously, I would imagine, still be able to slot into a different role within the IT field. Maybe not actively what you did before, but certainly in an advisory capacity, I would imagine.
Well, that's exactly what I've been doing with a couple of businesses today. I'm working with a not-for-profit. Well, they're not a not-for-profit. They're a business that helps not-for-profits. And I've been working with an IT consulting firm. And that's exactly what I'm doing with both of those, working in an advisory capacity.
no, that's good. That's wonderful. My brother is an IT guy, so he works from home. So I know a little bit about what you did. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but how long did it take you when you started blogging? For those out there who want to do a blog, a lot of authors need to have a blog, so they have a following and they can communicate with their audience and things. How long did it take you to get a following, to grow that with your blogging?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. I think the answer obviously is, as long as I've been blogging, I'm still, I'm still growing that following 10 years on. But the point being is that I think you need a year or two to actually get your first reliable block of people who are going to turn to your page every single time that you publish something new. And part of the challenge of that is not about having how you get to people, how you communicate with people, but about having regular material published. So in some respects, it's okay. When I say regular, I don't mean that you've got to be publishing every single day. I think in some respects, that's the worst thing you can do. Right at the moment, with my schedule, my once a week has gone down to about once every 1.5 weeks of publishing. So I'm just not got the time right now, because I'm dealing with a local internet radio show, and I'm dealing with a local political group that I'm involved in, and each of those things take time. So, that means the regularity of when I blog has gone down. And the point being is that each of those things have to take their turn. That's life, right?
Right.
So I think the question really is about, you've got to be regularly blogging, whether that's once a month, once a week, once a day. Once a day, I don't really recommend, but regularity is what's important. There are people out there. Companies can do once a day, because Mary can write one on Monday, George can write one on Tuesday, etc. So you can rotate it through the team. And the point being is that even if you miss a day, you can still get semi-regular. You can still get regular material published. But I think that it's more, not just about how regular you publish, but about the quality of what you publish.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So how can people get hold of you, Peter, if they're wanting to get advice on blogging, or if they want to enlist your help to assist them with getting their headlines right and fixing up their websites for them?
Well, they can get hold of me through my website, which is blogtalk.space. Yep, that's the one.
There we go.
All right. Wonderful.
And yes, in case you're wondering, .space is one of these new style top level domains that you can use. I've been using it now for a few weeks. It's still my old website, but if you get hold of me through that website, there's a contact me page on there, and that will send me an email if you want to. The other thing is you can look me up, Peter Giblett, on Facebook. You can also look me up as Peter B. Giblett on LinkedIn, and you can look me up as P. Giblett on Twitter. I'm on a few other places as well, but those are the main ones.
Fantastic. Peter, it was great getting to know you after all these years. It was amazing.
Likewise.
And we really look forward to inviting you back again sometime. And thank you for sharing some advice for bloggers or would-be bloggers. And I'm sure that they will reach out to you and get some advice on how to get their blogging right and cross the T's and dot the I's.
It's all about that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes, so nice meeting you. And the background noise would be children. Because this is real life. So I have a little wolf in the house, I guess, this morning, or a tutu. It was so nice to meet you, Peter. Thank you for all your information.
Likewise.
I know it will help those that are watching the show and on the replay too. Thank you.
Okay. Well, have a wonderful day, everybody.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
On behalf of the flight crew, thank you for flying with us and have a pleasant day.